Hello and welcome one and all to a new episode, finally, after an entire month of Bees Biased Babblings. And today, it is my pleasure to present to you Titans Return Misfire. So just a quick refresher on the format of Bees Biased Babblings. I will be giving no scores, no objectivity. This is just pure love and gushing for characters and toys that I love. In Spinister's case, last time, it was more so that he was an amazing toy, and Misfire's an amazing toy too, don't get me wrong, but it's more the backstory to him that kind of is one of the reasons why I love him so much, and the other two Decepticon Target Masters. We'll look closer at them later. But basically, it's the Titans Return line as a whole is one of my favourites in recent years. Like, when I was a kid, I had experience with Transformers Armada and Energon and Cybertron. Like, the Unicron trilogy was my childhood toys, and then I kind of, when the movie came out and stuff, obviously when you go through that, every Transformers fan as an adult has that phase where you like miss out a bit when you're like a teenager and it's not cool to play with toys anymore, you know what I mean? So I had the childhood was Unicron trilogy. And then what got me back into Transformers properly was the Titans Return toy line. Like, I had a handful of Generations toys. I remember having Skywarp and I had Springer, but it was, and then a few Combiner Wars toys, but it was when I first brought home Titans Return Skullcruncher. That's not the Titans Return Skullcruncher my boyfriend had that actually in Canada. I sent it over because I have the, you'll not be able to see it here, but I have the retro one now because he's a more accurate G1 colour. But anyway, I got Titans Return Skullcruncher and Blur, the Wave 1 toys from Titans Return. I just absolutely fell in love with the whole gimmick, you know, like the whole like head comes off gimmick thing, which of course he's not going to do. He's going to extend his pants instead. His head's tight, take that as you will. But what do those two toys have to do with Misfire? Well, it's actually to do with Trigger Happy. Trigger Happy was a toy that I had heard a lot of positive things about. However, because he is part of a trio, I was scared to get him because I thought as soon as I get Trigger Happy, I'll need to get the other two, Misfire and Silksinger. Like, they're top tier Decepticon goons for me. Like, they're more important to me personally than like the Seekers of like Starscream, Thundercracker, Skywarp and stuff. Like, I love them too, don't get me wrong, but these three are more like iconic. I think it's because they're all different in a way, you know, like the original Seekers are all just repaints of each other, whereas like the original Target Masters were all very different, and even these new ones, even though they are remolded, they are very different. So this was a toy that I saw a lot on the toy shelves and kept passing it up because I thought, like, yes, he looks fantastic in the box. I absolutely loved his aesthetic and like the dark blue and the yellow eyes and the red head, like very Japanese robot toy vibe, you know. Like, anytime I see yellow eyes I just think Transformer or like Japanese themed toy, because like obviously a lot of other Transformers, like I'm just looking around the collection, like Autobots tend to have blue eyes, Decepticons tend to have red eyes. Obviously that's not a hard and fast rule, there are different ones, but it's like anytime I see yellow eyes it is a nice refresh, and I don't know, I just like it. So there was definitely like an interesting backstory to like how I ended up with this then, because I remember it was years after, like, so after passing this guy up, you know, every time I go into the store to look what they had new or stuff like that, I would always pass this guy up specifically because I knew, ironically, that I would love him too much and need to get the other three. So eventually I caved because me and the family were on holiday down in, well actually we went for a little coffee down in Hollywood down here, which is not the Hollywood in Los Angeles, it's the Hollywood in, or is in Los Angeles. I don't even know where Hollywood is in America, but it's not that one. There's a place called Hollywood, spelled Holywood with one L, in Northern Ireland here in County Down. And there was this little shop, this little toy shop, and they had this guy, was the only Transformer in the shop, and he looked so sad on his own. And this was years after Titans Return. Like, Titans Return was what, I want to say 2016, I think. 2016, something like that. I don't know. But this would have been only like 3 years ago or something, you know, like just before COVID times. So this guy had been on that shelf for like 5 years at least, and I was just like, okay, fine, I have to take you home. I love you too much to take you home. So I took him home, obviously fell in love, because he's a freaking awesome toy, and I'm not going to do a full review on this guy, or Slug Slinger, because they are similar enough to Misfire that like when I cover everything that is to do with him, it basically goes for the others as well. But yeah, I fell in love. I don't know what else there's to say other than just like, so that's how I got Trigger Happy into my collection. And of course by this stage, years after Titans Return line, for those that don't know, the reason why Misfire and Slug Slinger are so hard to come by is because they were late wave additions to Titans Return, and I don't think I ever saw them in a store here in Ireland. I don't think anybody ever saw them in the stores. Like, they got scalped incredibly quickly, like as soon as they were released. So basically they were hard to get, you know, like you could never see them in a shop, and it was hard to get them online. They sold out everywhere. They didn't make that many of them for some reason, even though they're very important characters, especially Misfire, who of course had starring roles with fellow Decepticon repaint Croc and Spinister actually in the IDW comics. So if Trigger Happy and Slug Slinger are so cool, then why is it Misfire that I'm doing today's review of? Is it because he's pink and I'm predictable like that? Yes it is. It's because he's pink. Like, these two are great, don't get me wrong. Like I said, I already love, like, I don't really normally like dark blue as a colour, but this specifically like cobalt tone that Trigger Happy is. And like I said, his yellow eyes, his red face, he's pretty like unique colour scheme for Decepticon. And then Slug Slinger, teal is my second favourite colour to pink, obviously, which is why Rotorstorm is one of my favourites. So Slug Slinger's awesome, and he has these like Tampergraph parts to represent the G1 stickers. I always love when they do that, whether they're stickers or Tampergraphs. But he's not pink, so that's why today we're talking about Misfire. So just get a load of this magenta maverick, this rubine rascal, this pink prick, I don't know, Decepticon baddie prick, I don't know. He's just, you know, like he's just so strange but awesome. Like his just general aesthetic is very like plain in terms of like stance, you know, like general normal humanoid robot, you know, instead of other ones like just gonna lift one off, like Airwave for example, who's very wide and thick, you know, so like, and then other ones like the Fossilizers, which are very scrawny and stuff generally. So in terms of his like biology, if you would call it that, for a transforming robot, I don't know, it's very plain, just like normal looking legs, normal looking arms, normal looking chest, normal looking head. But what a head, like look at that, like those luscious lavender lips, like don't you just wanna give him a kiss? He's just so handsome, and those brilliant azure shades, like he just looks like he's straight out of the 80s cop show or something, I don't know. And I absolutely love how he is contrasted between like being blocky, like he has like blocky legs, blocky forearms and such, but then he also has the sort of softer edges, like his shoulders are quite rounded and his chest has a more sort of softer detail, and then like the contrasting colours of the pink and the white are very nice together with the red, and then also like you have this grey for his hands and his feet and his head, but only the front half of his head. That's one thing that I dislike sometimes about the Titans Returns ones, is that like because of the nature of the Titan Master arms, sometimes they become like the main colour instead of the background colour, so it makes him look like he has quite a flat face, I guess, I don't know. But that's not like that much of an issue, you know, like that's just nitpicking. But yeah, he's just in terms of articulation, like I don't like to spend too long on articulation anyway, because other videos have covered it much better than I can. Like, I'm not going to go through a bit like, oh, he has this joint, he has this joint. He's relatively well posed. Like, my only issues are that he has this stupid shoulder thing, which I hate that they do sometimes, where it's like, so you'll see the pin there, so it has upward here, which means to lift his arms he has to sort of shoulder himself in the head, and then when he moves forward, it's like, so it looks fine just like straight up and down, and then straight forward and back because it's on a swivel that way. But then it's like, if you're trying to go forward and then up a bit, it just kind of looks a bit broke, you know what I mean? So like, instead of other bots that have, you know, like the opposite. So it's like, I prefer it when the swivel is attached to the body and the hinge is attached to the shoulder. I'm looking to see if anybody has that here, but they don't. Oh, actually no, sorry, Blaster does. Just to like quickly demonstrate. So like, the pin for the upwards is in the shoulder, and then the swivel is in the body, so it's like it has a more natural swing, do you know what I mean, for that kind of thing. So like, that looks much more natural of a pose, as opposed to like having a very high shoulder that you get from the pin being in the body and the peg being in the arm. Again, complete nitpick. Like, he's still a friggin' gorgeous toy, like, and I don't really pose them that much anyway, because like, flip, everything's falling to bits. Because these three, not Spinister, these two and Misfire obviously look best when they're just standing, looking badass, you know. And speaking of looking badass, shall we talk accessories? So the gun that he comes with is this like typical Titans Return thing of like having two guns that would look pretty cool as two guns, but then you put them together and then you end up with like a hollow mess for the Titan Master to sit in. But it's pretty good, I suppose. It's not the worst Titan Master gun. I think my favourite Titan Master gun, just for pure laughs, is actually Wolfwire's, because it's like a bucket with a tube on it, but most of them are. But see, like, from this angle, when you put this scooped out part to the outside and have him holding his guns like that, like, it looks pretty normal. I really like these, like, I don't know what you would call them, just these like sticky out X-wingy parts. They look pretty badass. And then of course, as a Titan Master, or like, Titans Return Headmaster, what did they call it again? So like, his head comes off. I suppose I just have to show this for anybody who doesn't know. His head comes off, and he's quite well painted for a little Hasbro one. Like, it'll not focus here obviously, but his eyes are painted in blue, and he has a little lavender face similar to his big head. So we'll see more of that in a second, but well, I suppose I might as well show you now. Like I said, the guns and then he can hold, you know, and then he can sit in the guns for some reason. Some of them work better than others, I will admit. That's just the gimmick that they went with. So I suppose, I don't know if the head counts as an accessory or not, and we'll just put him back on for a second so I can show you the second thing. So this is his little Target Master. This is I can't remember the name. Aimless, I think. Yes, Aimless is a little Target Master. Spoiler alert, does not come with him. Like, these are just these are all Siege Battle Masters. We have Aimless for Misfire, and then we have Blowpipe for Trigger Happy, and then we have Slugslinger, and I can't remember his name. I want to say, I'll put it in here on my hand. I'm terrible. See, with like little bots, I always forget their names, but anyway. So he does not come with Misfire, but in the G1 cartoon, in the G1 toy, these three were Target Masters, not Headmasters. So in the original 80s toy, their head did not come off. but they had these little gun friends, so I just quickly transformed him, and he is compatible. And as with all Target Masters, he looks absolutely oversized and ridiculous, but it's pretty cool, you know. To show you up close, I suppose. So we have Blowpipe and whatever his name is. He's not the right colours, but whatever. I have done little custom painted to them. I have painted silver on their little arms and stuff just to bring them out a bit. I feel like they look better together in robot mode when they're all sort of standing together. That's just my personal preference. And just another little comment on the robot mode before I move on. I just want to point out his fucking massive cod piece that he ends up with because of the transformation hinge here that like folds his legs down. But it gives him this massive like Henry VIII looking cod piece, like something like a Blackadder. Hilarious. I love him. So I think that wraps us about for robot mode. Just another little, like, I suppose a quick turnaround. You already seen there the backpack. His wings are very nice. I really love the shape of them, even from the front. And the way they're quite subtle, remind me of Cyclonus a little. And then on the back, he has his little backpack thing. But it's not too egregious, you know, like some toys with like backpacks ends up and they're like massive. But quite a slim profile for like a jet dude, you know. And then his feet, I love these little, even though they're technically inaccurate to the G1 toy, like these wings, kneecap wings, you know, they're for bot mode, or sorry, vehicle mode. And speaking of vehicle mode, let's get into that. Tell a lie, before we get to vehicle mode, I just wanted to point out another little issue that I have with this toy is the ankles. I don't know how well you can see, but they're cut to be slanted so that he can stand, and that's quite a nice thing for them to have done at that time. However, now when we're absolutely spoiled by everybody having ankle tilts, it's a bit strange to like try and pose this guy then. Like, he does have like movable feet backwards and forwards quite a bit, which is nice, and the heel and toe move independently. So like I like to do like little cheater poses where you can have them like this, but then like the heel is actually supporting, but you don't really see it, so stuff like that, you know. But anyway, sorry, again, anyway, vehicle mode. Oh, isn't that sexy? Isn't that just sexy? And I am realising now that wearing the pink hoodie with the pink figure was a bad idea because you probably can't see him now against me, but actually that looks quite nice, like a brooch or something, doesn't it? Like, but anyway, just like I'm just speechless by this vehicle mode, and all three of them. Like, I couldn't be arsed doing the three of them, but you know, you'll see them later. They just look so, like, I just want to scream at how nice they look. Like, I've always loved like little spaceship looking, like little fighter planes and stuff. Like, I absolutely loved what do you call it, Star Fox as a kid, Total Wipeout, Ratchet and Clank had some spaceships that were similar design like this. So like all these little spaceship modes are beautiful to me. Also, sorry if there's background noise, but my neighbours have once again decided that today is a good day to brush the path very loudly again. But anyway, actually more on that at the end of the video, like one of the reasons why it took so long to get this done. More on that later. But back to Misfire. Like, he's just so cool, and like I love that his guns are fully compatible in this mode, obviously. Although it's strange, like I haven't really worked out which way they're supposed to go, like if they're supposed to go like that way, or this way. I don't know which way is supposed to be the way that they go, but they both work, and I kind of prefer having like the wider parts showing this way, so I like to do that way. It doesn't really matter, you know, but he's pretty damn cool, and as other reviewers have said, very bug-like, especially with this sort of rounded prong. I quite like this update on the design. The original toy had a much more prominent, like these curved sections did come out a lot, more like prominently, and this is a very nice compromise between like that design and this new design. But my favourite part, and my favourite part of the entire Titans Returns gimmick, is of course that you get the little guy and he can pilot the ship, and I just absolutely adore that feature about every Titans Return toy, how the Titan Master can like ride in it, drive it, fly it, you know. It's just so fun, and I love how detailed the little cockpit is. You have the little seat, and then you have you know, like pretend controls and stuff. Well, actually this guy has quite good controls. We'll just set him in, and he looks so cute there, like flying about, little cute dude. You can barely see him. Oh, actually no, you can actually see him quite well on this. Oh, that looks so cool. He looks so cute, flying about. You know, it's just like absolute freaking swoosh machine, like deluxe size, perfect for this. Just like absolutely swooshing about, you know. Get the other two involved, swooshing about, swoosh, you know. They're just so swooshy. I just love. I'm like, in my head canon, like I said, so the Decepticon, Seekers, Starscream, Thundercracker and Skywarp, they're all like the same jet, they're all the same plane, so they all have the same kind of role and stuff. But for the Target Masters, I always forget their name, the Target Masters, I always like to give them like different roles in my own like head universe of things. So Misfire is like the fast one, the speedy one, the fighter jet, because he just has these like two guns and then these big engine intakes, and he looks the most sleek, the most fast, you know. So like he's just the fast one, the Interceptor, the jet. Well, they're all like space jets, but you know what I mean, like Interceptor. So he's like first on the scene, wrecking the joint, blowing up Autobots everywhere. And then we have Trigger Happy, who obviously has these big fuck off cannons on the side, and then these like underslung guns, which look quite heavy duty. So in my mind, Trigger Happy is more like the heavy weapons, like heavy fighter, like fighter bomber role. You know, a bit slower than Misfire in more ways than one, if you've seen the cartoon, but definitely very heavily armed, you know. And again, he has the little headmaster pilot sitting in there. Pretty neat, pretty cute, pretty adorable death machine, adorable death machine. But anyway, and then we have Slug Slinger, who of course is maybe the weirdest design, has this like double cockpit thing going on, and you can see seats in there, but the actual Titan Master is back here in this little bit, so quite cozy, but it's interesting. And because his guns have this interesting thing of like, Slug Slinger has the best guns by far. Like, these are the best Titans Returns guns I've seen, because you can hold them separately or combining them, and it looks class. It looks absolutely class. But when they're on him, because they're like asymmetrical, it makes me think of more like a reconnaissance thing. So like, you know, maybe one of these is a gun and the other one's a camera or something, and then they have like the pilot and then the co-pilot or operator or something, you know, or maybe he's a bomber and it's like a bomb aimer. I don't know. It's just like a fun little thing. So like I said, when you see them all together, I don't know if I'm going to be able to hold the three of them in a way that you can see them all. Like, they're all very different but matching, if that makes sense. They look so cool together. But I'll put these down because this is still primarily Misfire review. I just have to, you know, it's a bit like talking about I don't know, like Starscream without Thundercracker and Skywarp. You can't talk about one without mentioning the others at least, so I just had to show them at least. But Misfire for me, absolutely beautiful. Like, I love the, again, we have, I think because his white or grey sections are hidden in this mode a lot, you get less of that, but still, like, you have these little silver flares on the front, these little red tips on the wings with the silver parts, again emulating the G1 stickers. The leg details still here, so you have those grey sections, silver sections, little fin bits. And on the other side, that's very nice. I very much appreciate it, having painted on both sides. He's just lovely. Like, I don't know what else to say. He's just lovely. No engine detail, sadly, but you do have the asshole for like pegging a flight stand in. Sadly, they're not. What do you call it? Blast effects compatible, because it would be nice to like stick one up there and then pretend that's the jet mode. But these were out before that, obviously, so you can't blame them. Same as the guns. But yeah, I don't know what else to say about this jet mode other than it's freaking perfect. So in terms of critique for the alt mode, there isn't any, because it's objectively perfect in every single way. So yeah, he's just wonderful. He's just perfect. So to wrap it up, just what Misfire means to me, like, I'm just absolutely in love with the design. All aspects, from like the colours, obviously, like almost a perfect match to my favourite shade of pink, which is this like darkish pink. It's just so nice and just matches the other pinks that I have. He is actually, funnily enough, almost exactly the same colour pink as Fangry for some reason. My favourite colour of pink, actually, tell a lie, is the kind of pink that Skyhawk is, like a slightly brighter. But anyway, that's not important to this. I'm just going off on a tangent. He's just so, I don't know, like important to me as like having, because I've always loved random Decepticons. Like I said, I have Croc, I have Quake, other just Spinister, like random nobodies, you know, like, and then like on my 86, 87 shelf, I have like Flywheels and Battletrap. I almost called him Clatterbap and Skytread, Jesus Christ. And then the Decepticlones over there. So like, I absolutely love the like random characters of just being like goons, you know. They're just so, I don't know, like all three of them, and like I said, like they're all equally cool. They're all equally great toys, and honestly, either one of them, if you just had one of them, would make you very happy, because like the transformations, I forgot to mention that while I did that, the transformation's very fun. It's funny how like these two have a very similar transformation scheme, although Slugslinger's just slightly simpler, to the point where you sort of do it and then you're finished and then you're like, oh, is that it? Like, is there no more? But it's interesting. I don't know why that is. I think it's because his wings don't move, whereas Misfire's, you've seen in the transformation, but his wings sort of like swing back. And then Trigger Happy has a very different transformation, because his whole like chest flips around and does mad shit. But so that's cool. If you want the best transformation, definitely Trigger Happy. If you want the most unique one, probably Slugslinger. But then, where else are you gonna get a pink jet, you know? So like I said, like all three toys are objectively fantastic, and you'll be happy with either one of them. And the only reason why Misfire is a favourite is because he is pink, and I am that predictable. I am that person. So, and I just realised that because the last bot we looked at was Spinister, there's a bit of a theme emerging here that they are all pink. But I promise that the next, who is the next one I'm going to review? I can't remember who was next on my list, but I will try to make them not a pink one, so you have a bit of a different look at like who else I love other than just like pink random Decepticons. Well, actually that is me, goatee. Oh well. So this has been Bees Bass Babblings. I hope I have babbled on long enough about the joy that is the absolute beauty of the ridiculous pink jet dude. Misfire, time to turn Misfire. If you enjoyed this video, if you would like to see more, also in this playlist we have Spinister, episode 1, and then if you want a more in-depth look at a Transformer review, where I do like a score system and stuff, so far I have reviewed Earthrise Optimus Prime, I have reviewed Kingdom Cyclonus, and the next one is going to be Titans Return Chrome Dome, actually, another Titans Return chap, but he's getting like a full proper review, and that'll be on the Beesbot Bonanza proper review playlist, so like you'll see it on the channel. If this is your first video, welcome to the channel. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you can leave a like, leave a subscribe if you want to see more. If you are a regular viewer, thank you very much for watching again, watching my random ramblings. And speaking of that, actually, I've decided to start a coffee page, however you pronounce it, you know, like KO-FI, whatever that's supposed to be pronounced at. Maybe it is coffee, I don't know. Simply because I need lights. And that's another thing that I was going to talk about. I need lights because in this house, obviously in Ireland, we're very dependent on the weather. And the other night when I tried to shoot this at night time, my room light is very orange toned, so it made the background and everything look very same coloured, you know what I mean? So like I'm filming this in the daytime now that I have the daylight, but I would like the freedom to be able to record whenever I am free to, rather than just whenever it's bright. So I have opened a Ko-fi page with there's like monthly subscription things. Like I don't know if, like I know I only have like 50 subscribers at the minute, so I'm not expecting to get like, you know, 1 million followers or something subscribing to me. Like obviously that's, if you want to, then go ahead. There's some fun perks there, and I will address it on a separate video in case you don't watch this one. But you should watch this one, because if you're hearing me say this, then you are watching this one. Whatever that means. But so on Ko-fi, I'm going to set a little like a fundraiser thing, I guess, to like help me get some lights. And if you have any suggestions for kind of lights, just like not anything fancy like big box lights, just like something I can have here and just have like a bit of something, you know. But again, I shouldn't ramble on that about in this video, because this video is about Time to Return Mistfire, and we have talked about Time to Return Mistfire, and I will talk about Ko-fi on the next video on the channel. Okay, so yeah, that's it. Bye.